Today we're talking about tips to boost your immune system as well as ways to decrease your anxiety and fear. And this is kind of a summary of what both myself and my sister, who's also my guest for today,
Hi.
Cari. She is a life coach at Coaching for Tomorrow. And so this past week on Instagram, we basically did the same thing. We were sharing tips on how to boost your immune system, as well as decreasing our anxiety and our fear with this whole virus thing and reopenings and just so much going on in the world today. So we just wanted to come together and put it all kind of in a summary today in one easy to find place. So thanks so much for being here today, sister.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much for having me and joining with me and helping everybody prepare as best
Yeah,
as possible for the reopening and the emotions involved in that and what's to come. I think it's really great that we can reach out and help people
hmm
to prepare. So thank
yeah,
you for that.
yeah, totally. And I personally am super excited to reopen. So it kind of didn't really even cross my mind that some people are very not excited or scared or anxious until we started talking about this. So I'm glad too that we're able to do this, as well as boosting our immune system, because like we were talking about right before we started recording, is that our health or wellness or lack of it is just front and center right now. So we really need to take this opportunity to focus on, you know, improving our health, especially our immune system. So let's start with that. I think that's a good place to start, right? Boosting the immune system.
Yeah.
So one thing I shared were some things that weaken our immune system, and probably I think the number one thing is sugar. And so I say that's the number one thing because it's so easy to get and it's so yummy. And it's in everything, like things that you wouldn't even think about, like salsa and chicken broth. Um, and I have so many blog posts and videos and podcast episodes all about sugar and like where it's hiding and how much we should have in a day and what counts as sugar, because there's a lot of confusion around that too. But basically, for a like middle-aged child, the recommended daily amount of sugar is about 11 grams, and that's of added sugar in a day. So fruit doesn't count. And then for an adult woman, it's about 25 grams, and adult males 36 grams. So use this time at home to start looking at your labels, especially for kids. Kids tend to get way too much sugar. And we know that sugar weakens our immune system for about 5 hours after we consume it. So if you're having something sugary for breakfast and then a sugary snack and then a dessert after dinner, your immune system is weak all day long. Another thing that weakens our immune system is poor sleep. So make sure you're getting a good night's sleep. And then, the other thing that we're really going to touch on is anxiety and stress and fear. And those can majorly weaken our immune system, as well as, if our body isn't functioning the way it should, then that makes it easier for us to be anxious and stressed. So it's just this cycle. And at some point, we have to make the conscious effort to break it. So I talked about supplements that boost our immune system, as well as reducing anxiety. And a lot of that comes from being nutrient deficient. So, basic multivitamin, but look for whole foods on the label. Not all vitamins are created equal. Most are synthetic, and our body can't really use what is in the vitamin. And then vitamin C, of course, that's something that we all know boosts our immune system. But we tend to reach for orange juice, and orange juice is sugar. So it's actually weakening our immune system. And so I like, of course, to reach for whole foods to get our nutrients. And some of the foods highest in vitamin C are dark leafy greens and like bell peppers and sweet peppers. But then if you do want to supplement, again, the same thing, just look for whole foods on the label. One of the things that you talked about for anxiety. So we talked about that anxiety and stress can weaken our immune system. One of the things you talked about were some deep breathing techniques that we can use. And what I like about things like deep breathing is that you can use it like right now, no matter where you're at. And I mean, it works super fast to help just kind of get you out of that like deep, anxiety or stressful feelings that you're having in the moment. You want to share a little bit about the deep breathing?
Yeah, most definitely. Yeah, you're spot on with that. Most people, though, it's such a simple thing to do. Most people don't think of it in the
Mm-hmm.
moment. You're you're nervous, you're feeling some anxiety, some fear, some worries, and so you don't even realize that you're shallowing your breath. So just to take a moment in through the nose, out through the mouth, and just calm yourself down. Then you realize your shoulders are tense and you're kind of stiff. Um, so as far as the breathing, with the diaphragmic breathing, which was laying on the back, one hand on your chest, one hand right below the rib cage on your belly. And when you breathe in deep, you feel only the hand on your stomach rising and the hand on your chest staying the same. That is for multifunctional breathing. That's for decreasing stress and anxiety, but it's also expanding the bottom part of the lungs, which will kind of strengthen the lungs. So part of the reason that I wrote that in my post was because, like you said, the immune boosting and it's good for the immune system, but it's also good for the mental state. So right now, especially with what's going on, a lot of the fears, surrounding especially New York, which is where I'm located, um, is entering the world again and getting sick. What if we enter again and it's not time? What if we get sick? What if the numbers start to rise and they put us on lockdown again? All these fears. So, taking the vitamins, the supplements, taking better care of ourselves with our health, our eating, proper sleep, less sugar, that will give us more mental boost as
Mm-hmm.
far as being comfortable with where we are in our health to step out into the world. The breathing is the same thing. So if we have more confidence in our lung capacity and our lung functionality, then that would increase our mental state as far as less anxiety, less stress in regards to this particular virus,
Mm-hmm.
because we would have more confidence in our lungs, more confidence in our immune system as we enter the world again. So yes, I think that the they go hand in hand, emotional
Oh yeah.
and immune, definitely.
Yeah. And I think that's why I'm not fearful or anxious about reopening or the virus even itself at all is because I am confident in my wellness. And that truly is my wish for everybody. Um, so one thing, so we were talking a little bit too about how we were both kind of anxious about different things regarding this and some things that we found that were helping us. So I think we should talk a little bit about that because I feel like others could benefit from how we were, relieving our own anxieties and fears. And so for me, I find that when I'm getting anxious or stressed or fearful, starting with the things like that breathing, because I kind of giggled when you were talking because I do notice that my shoulders like end up by my ears.
Mhm.
But I've become aware over the years, so I start to notice like the second they start to rise and I'm like, okay, like what's going on. But I think that helps us, those things that are quick acting help us, separate a little bit so we have the space to dig a little deeper. So what I like to do is turn off all the outside noise. So I don't scroll social media. I haven't watched the news in years, and I don't feel like I'm missing out on anything. Um, but I did that because I noticed years ago that I would watch news and just get so super anxious. And then, in the research I've done since then, is that is what news is designed to do, is to instill anxiety and fear, as well as reporting partially some issues. But so I have to take a step back and shut off all the outside noise. So again, no scrolling social media, no news, sometimes not even talking to anybody about certain issues, because then I can just feel myself getting worked up. And then, in taking that break, I reevaluate certain things like, is this anxiety my own? Or have I taken on someone else's anxiety, someone else's fear, someone else's stress, or something, some source is telling me, like, be scared of this, be fearful. So I think that that has been like key for me, is being able to take that step back and then reevaluate, is this my own? And I think that that helps for just, anything, for any anxiety, any stress, any fear, even for like good emotions. Is this my own? Or is this someone else's that I've taken on? So I think that that could be helpful for a lot of people. And then what was the thing that you had talked about that you did?
Well, and I agree with you, doing the research and understanding where you are in the moment, what emotions you're having and why, where are they coming from,
Mhm,
and are they serving you?
mhm.
Honestly, that's the key questions to ask
Yeah.
yourself. And one thing that happened to me personally during this COVID thing was, I'm a mom of three, and I'm on a couple Facebook groups for like moms in my area. So, in every day there was new information that was coming out, whether it was on the news or on social media, or somebody told somebody told somebody told somebody. So the validity of these things was what was causing fear. And a lot of it that was being posted on social media was emotion based. You just hear something, so you're like, oh my gosh, guys, did you hear about this?
Mhm,
So one thing that I heard was, or that I read on Facebook, was that if your child got sick and needed medical attention, you would not be allowed in the hospital with your child. And that immediately, like, I was petrified in that split second. So what I decided to do for myself was to do research into that. So what I did was I clicked out of Facebook and I looked into my local hospitals websites, like the actual hospital website, and I put in search, child COVID and blah blah blah. And then what I did to reach out even further was I reached out to people who worked at those hospitals that I know personally, and I asked them straight up, what if my child needs medical attention and they are diagnosed positive with COVID-19? Can I be there with them? What I found out was that you could be, one parent could be with a child, but they would be put on quarantine with that child. That calmed my fears instantly. Instantly calmed my fears. So that is definitely huge with anything, like you said, in life that comes our way. If you hear something that really gets you emotional,
mhm,
um, you first, you should ask the person, like, how true is that? Where did you get that information from? And secondly, look into it yourselves. You're calming your own nerves, you're calming
mhm,
your own anxiety, your own fears. And it would be nice to share with that person as well, like, which I did. I went back on that group and I said, I just want to let everybody know, the hospitals in our area, this is their protocol for COVID-19. Actual factual protocol, which I looked
mhm.
into. So yeah, I think that that's huge as well, because that's what we need least in this time is, fear,
Mhm.
just for reasons that are bringing us down and causing anxiety and stress. There's enough there's enough logical reasons for fear. There's enough real reasons for fear out there. So to add more definitely can be detrimental to each and every one of us.
Mhm. It definitely, and I think it's great that you did that, because I don't know how many people would have actually done that. They would have just been like, oh, this is what I read, and, kind of run with it, spread that misinformation even more, scared a whole bunch more people. So I'm glad that you did that, and that you went back and shared it as well, because you probably, put a lot of those other moms' fears and stuff, decrease them a little bit anyways.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope
Yeah.
so. And part of the reason why I think that you and I can do that, do the things that we do, looking and research, is because of coaching,
Hmm.
because we have the background that we have. So a lot of it is I fully understand interpretations and assumptions. I understand where they're coming from, and I understand why we do them.
Hmm.
So I can really, really work hard to get into my head and into my emotions and into my inner voice and
Hmm.
draw out why I think the way I think, and does it serve me? If it
Hmm.
doesn't serve me, then what do I need to do to change that?
Yeah.
So I think that's just training.
Hmm.
And I think that's just a daily practice that you and I have been involved in a lot for the last couple of years.
Yeah.
So, whereas other people, they don't have that, they don't have that just easily accessible to them.
Hmm.
So I think that's, you and I are lucky to have that, and that's why we're trying to share it with people, is to help them learn the same exact way of living that we live.
Yeah, totally. And I think that that's the perfect way to put it. Does it serve you? And, we might feel like it serves us in some ways. Maybe we feel like it's protecting us or, something like that, especially at this time. But, another thing that we were talking about before we started recording, you said that sometimes fear can be good. Let's jump into that a little bit.
Yes, fear can be good. So, the example that I was telling you was, if you're standing on a street corner and you step off the corner into the street and a bus is coming at you, fear will strike that adrenaline in you to
Mhm.
jump out of the way. Fear gives you that adrenaline for the flight or fight instinct. So, in the instance of getting hit by a bus, fear serves you because it makes you jump out of the way.
Mhm.
Fear serves us in the sense of, if you're walking along and you see a dark alley, and your gut instinct is like, maybe not. That's fear kind of telling you, don't really go that way.
Mhm.
And does it serve you? Yeah. Do you need to go down a dark alley? Well, probably not. Fear can also hold us back
Mhm.
from doing a lot. We focus on that a lot with coaching. People get stuck. Fear can block you. So understanding the difference between, if it's serving you or if it's not serving you. Is it saving you or is it blocking you? That's huge.
Mhm.
And sometimes, people can't get out of it. They can't get out of it. They're so in it.
Mhm.
But, being able to identify the two is huge to move forward or not move forward.
Mhm. Yeah, awareness is huge. Most people just kind of go through their day really without being aware and not even of, their emotions. There's just so much that we're just, not aware. We're creatures of habit, so we're in our routine. And there's been so many times, even simple things, I'm like, where are my car keys? But I have like a spot where I put my car keys. And so it's just so routine that I'm not even aware of like putting them there.
Right.
So in those minutes or seconds where I'm like, oh my gosh, like where are my keys? They're right where they're supposed to be. But I was just so unaware because I'm just going through my day like on autopilot, basically.
Right.
So, that's why I really like to be able to bring awareness because that's huge. That's so important. You can't get out of it. You can't break the cycle. You can't make changes if you're not even aware of what's happening. Um, so another thing that I like to do in thinking about those fears and anxieties and stressors is, um, is this like consistent across everything I'm thinking and doing? So kind of sticking with the whole virus thing that's going on. Like a lot of people would say they're scared of like, dying from it. Um, but then, if we look at the rest of the habits that we're practicing throughout the day, do those habits also, what's the word I'm looking for? Do they also support that reason why you think you're scared of the virus. So, for example, I'll go back to sugar. We know that sugar contributes to every disease out there. It's probably like one of the top, killers out there. But so are we watching our sugar intake as well? Are we exercising? Are we trying to keep a positive mindset? Are we sleeping well? We know that all these things are actually contribute to illness and death way more than the virus does. So, like I'm making this a little confusing. Basically, if we think we're scared of the virus because that we might die from it, but then we're going out in our mask and our gloves and buying sugar and potato chips and soda and drinking the sugary drinks, and we're not sleeping well and we're not exercising and we're constantly in this negative state of mind, then that doesn't support that fear. Does that make sense? Did I make it
Yeah, no, I
confusing?
totally understand. So overall health would create less fear for every virus, every bacteria, every sickness, every illness, because you would be overall healthier in general throughout.
Yeah, totally. But so what I'm kind of saying as far as like finding evidence to support, like, is this fear real or not? Is it really
Right.
mine? Kind of like I was talking about, you're scared of the virus, but then you're not scared of eating sugar and not exercising and not getting enough sleep. So they don't match.
Okay.
So just kind of thinking about all aspects of your life, not just this one thing that's happening right now. We know that health, whether it's physical, emotional, mental, is not, there's no quick fix, and it's not temporary. We want to be happy and healthy forever until, the last minute of our lives. So just trying to focus on it right now also is great. It's a great start. But we want to make sure that we're starting to learn more and practice more that we can carry with us forever, even long after this is no longer a hot topic. And
Yeah.
so it's definitely a lifelong journey. So, with that, don't feel like you have to strive for perfection, right
Right.
now. It's little tidbits here and there. So, like, we're talking about one of the very first steps is just awareness. You don't even have to do anything different in your day except start being aware of some of these habits and thoughts that are going on in your life.
Right. And that's huge. Awareness is
Hmm.
huge. I mean, and something that you said kind of struck to me. Um, I remember one time hearing, like, they call it medical practice because that's what it is,
Hmm.
right? And so the coaching practice, the wellness practice, I mean, it is the practice, mental
Hmm.
practice, immune practice, everything is a practice,
Hmm.
everything, because it's day to day, it's daily practice, it's daily, ups and downs of meeting goals and not exactly meeting goals and then trying again,
Hmm.
picking yourself up and trying again. So that's huge to tell people because, a lot of people, I think their fear is, perfection and
Hmm.
failure,
Hmm.
and that there's really no such thing as failing because you're trying. So you can't fail.
Yeah.
Because you're trying, you can't fail. So awareness is huge to start with. And one of the things that I posted about was validation because we are all going through different things and we're all in different areas. So, areas that have been less affected by this particular current situation that we're in, um, they're having different thoughts and emotions around it than people like, people that I'm speaking to in New York who have tons of emotions, tons of concerns, and they're a lot of people aren't, fearful of themselves getting sick, but they're so afraid for their grandparents. What if they have it and they give it to them? What if they're responsible for somebody dying? What if, there's a lot of emotions involved. What if people start to, out of desperation, they start to, um, commit crimes, more crimes, crime increases, and, the kids that aren't getting fed,
Hmm.
they depend on school. What about them? What about my small business? that I just opened down the street. It's gonna not be open again for how long? How am I gonna pay for it? There's so many emotions involved. And so,
Mhm.
and then you have other people that are like gonna hit the door running, like so excited for this to open. They have no fears, no concerns at all. So one of the key points that I was trying to present is validation. Every single one of us is feeling something for a reason. Usually has to do with upbringing, values, and interpretations.
Mhm.
Create the environment that we want, whether it's good or bad. That's kind of where we are. So just validating, like, it's understandable that you're excited. You've been locked in your house for weeks on end. Of course you're excited to get out with your friends, go to the beach, go shopping, go to Target, like normal Target shopping trip. Um, at the same exact time, it's understandable that you're scared. It's
Mhm.
understandable that you're afraid of getting sick, of getting your grandparents sick, of losing your business, of, whatever it is, because it's a scary time. There's a lot of unknowns,
Yeah.
and that is scary for a lot of people. We need to know. We love to know what's coming tomorrow. What's the weather going to be like? We're very used to knowing. Well,
Yeah.
not really the weather, but we're very used to knowing what's coming. School starts at this time, it ends at this time, we're eating dinner at this time, we have work at this time. So right now, we are all kind of spinning our wheel, trying to figure out what's next.
Mhm.
So we all have a lot of connection between the whole United States. We all have a lot of connection going on. So we can validate each other. We
Mhm.
really can. And that brings down so much nerves, so much anxiety. Just saying, I hear you.
Mhm.
I totally understand where you're coming from, and it's okay because I feel it too. I have been anxious, fearful, worried, excited, joyful. I've experienced such positive things from this and negative things from this, all in the last 6 weeks.
Mhm.
So, so yes, that's one of the things that I think is huge, even within the same household. You can
Mhm.
have every single person experiencing every single emotion all at different times, and it's okay. Every single emotion is okay. It
Mhm.
really is, and I think that's huge.
Yeah, I think that's a very, very important point that we all need to just hold on to is that all the emotions are okay. We're so like scared of the negative emotions. We don't want to feel them. They're bad. You shouldn't be sad. Don't cry. Things like that. We've heard all these things, so we try to pack them down or hide them or ignore them. Um, but they're all okay. It's what you do with it
Yes.
that's really important. But it's okay to feel all the feelings, and
Right.
yeah, we're all feeling them, just like you said. I mean, this short time has felt like so long, just like so much has happened, and it's new for all of us.
Yeah.
Um, so I I wonder too if we all really did validate each other, how I don't think that we would be in the crisis that we're in. Like if we all supported each other, there's so much like
Yeah.
bashing going
Yeah.
on.
Yeah. And here's the thing with validation. It doesn't mean you agree.
Yeah.
You don't have to agree. It's not saying I agree with you. No, it's not saying I agree to disagree with you. It's just saying I hear you.
Mhm.
I hear you. You have every right to feel any way that you feel. I have every right to feel the way I feel. Doesn't make you bad or me bad at all. So, like you said, you're scared right now. It's understandable to feel scared. What exactly are you scared about? Okay. So now what do we do from here?
Mhm.
You want to feel scared. No, you don't. Yes, you do. Either way, then you move forward or you stay where you are. That's the individual's choice. But just to say, I hear you. Yes, there's been so much bashing. There's been so much discord
Mhm.
and arguments in regards to it. So just to have a place to go to, just to have somebody that you can speak to, that's non-judgment,
Mhm.
that's just validation, and that is something that I recommended in each household.
Oh yeah.
Um, it doesn't mean that one person needs to be the strength. Everybody can practice that in their house. Everybody, and that would just bring unity in the house, but also would just bring down a lot of the anxiety
Mm-hmm.
for the length of time. If you're having anxiety and somebody validates you, usually it just stays right there. It doesn't keep on going and going and going and going and going and going.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally. I think that's a really good point. That's probably like the top point. If you're to take anything away from, from our chat, is just validation, and stop the bashing, stop the judging, stop the name calling. We're all experiencing this in different ways.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And that yesterday's post of mine was to plan it out. And that's kind of what I meant with sitting down as a family. Even if you're living single, you live by yourself as a single person, sitting down with yourself and just finding out where exactly you are, what your emotions are, what you're fearful of with the reopening, and look into that, research that, right? So if it's health, then you would go to the supplements, the eating healthier, starting your cupboards. Like you said, you have the time right now. A lot of us have time. So go into your cupboards, research things. If you're on social media, research things that are going to be helpful to you, that are going to help you feel more confident, more comfortable, and more strong, immunity and mentally. Secondly, planning it out with your family. Each person having their emotions, validate them, having their concerns, validate them, and then you can plan going forward. If somebody's very fearful of stepping out of the house and somebody's like gonna hit the door running, that's gonna clash. So that can create fighting, anger, animosity. So to stop that from happening, or to try to minimize it from happening, the plan into action as a family can really, really help. And that's based off of each individual family and each individual in that family.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I meant by that plan it out, thing, is that incorporating the health and incorporating validation and the mental state of every person will honestly set us up for insane success for when this reopens.
Mm-hmm.
So the businesses don't have to fail. We don't have to get sick and die. We don't have to be afraid to hug people. We don't have to worry about our kids in school. If we can kind of join together and decrease the health concerns and the mental concerns and the emotional concerns around this. And I think it's very, very possible.
I
Very
think it's super possible too.
Yeah.
And I think that focusing on those kinds of things will do wonders for everyone.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
it'll just be like smooth transition, or smoother anyway.
Yeah, and one of the things that you and I had talked about before was, viewpoints on this, right? The bad, the bad, the bad, and the good, the good, the good. And so we get to hear a lot of the bad. Oh, so much of the bad we get to hear. The bashing and the he said, she said, and, the grocery store experiences and all the negatives. But I have seen a lot of positives. I think that, like you had mentioned, seeing the silver lining is just something that could be focused on more with each and every one of us. And, I have seen parents that really have fallen in love with homeschooling. Their kids are doing fantastic with it, and they are actually thinking about continuing on to do the homeschooling. And that's wonderful for them. If that works for them and their child, then that's a positive. Like, they have found something good from this. Many people are creating such amazing bonding experiences with their families because they're home all the time. They have to be creative to keep their kids creative, or busy, or they have the time, right? We get so busy in our lives. We're constantly running and doing this and doing that, and it has stopped. So now we actually have the capacity to broaden everything within ourselves, within our close little niches, our families. people are doing such creative things with Zoom and the virtual world, right? They're like working out,
Mm-hmm.
they're reaching out to families that they haven't spoken to in forever. They're FaceTiming all the time. They're
Mm-hmm.
doing all kinds of things. I mean, there's so much positive to this that it is hard to see for a lot of people because they are stuck in a certain spot. And like I said, it's valid. Their
Mm-hmm.
fears being stuck is valid for them. But if I could share with them, please try to look, what would it be like to see the positive?
Mm-hmm.
A good story. How would that make them feel? And I think that there's a lot of positive out there, and I think there's more to come. I think that better days are upon us,
Oh
and
yeah, for sure.
I'm excited.
Mm-hmm.
Even though I have my fears and
Mm-hmm.
anxieties and I have my worries and concerns, I'm also very excited to see what's
Yeah.
coming.
Yeah. So one thing I remember, and I do, want to end this on that positive silver lining aspect. But one thing that I remember reading when this all came out, especially for our kids, is they won't remember, coronavirus. They will remember what it felt like at home. And so, if there's really, I don't know, that's my motivation all the time is, for my daughter, like what environment am I creating for her? Because it's not just going to affect them now. They're learning how to handle situations, that they'll carry with them into adulthood. But, and I did mention too that I'm super excited for reopenings, but I do also have my own things um, that I'm nervous about or anxious about. And they're, probably different. And again, that's okay.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, so one of the or the silver linings, like right when this first started, I was like, "Whew, I'm going to use this as like a reset because yeah, I was so caught up in like, okay, school starts at this time and then I can do this and then I have to be at the gym at this time and then pick her up and then dinner and just all the daily things. And now it's just like that none of that's happening. Like I can't go to the gym. There is no school. I can't. I mean, we go to the grocery store and that's like our fun outing
I know.
now. It's crazy. Woo! To the grocery store.
I know. Target run. Yes.
um, so, that was like one of the first things that I thought. And I think that that is a silver lining. How can we use this to shift? I've heard so much about using this time to pivot, whether it's like in our work choices. So, for a lot of people that got laid off, that is hard to get laid off, but maybe you hated that job anyways.
Right.
So, use this time to like go back to school or look for something that you'll love doing. We mentioned that with all that's happening, our health or lack of it is just bam, like being shoved in our faces. Are you healthy or are you not healthy? And so I think too, using that instead of being fearful of what could happen to our health, what can I do to, and this is, I'm telling people like, ask yourself, what can I do to make myself healthy? I have
Right.
the time right now to focus on that. And I myself, I don't want to be fearful of my health and we don't have to be. So what can we do to not be? And then again, just making some pivots and finding the positives in this whole situation just goes so far with everything we're talking about with reducing anxiety and stress as well as boosting our immune system. So I think that those are huge and that's just a great way to end it, on that positive note and thinking about the positives.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. And that's, if I could wish for everybody is that, is do what makes you feel good,
Mm-hmm.
and strong and healthy. And yeah, you're right. The cookie, it's so yummy. It's so yummy right now in the moment. It's like delicious.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, in the long run, where do you want to be? And just like you said, awareness is huge right now. That's
Mhm.
the first step. So my wish for everybody would just be that, you know, grow in awareness and love and peace and positivity. And if you need help,
Mhm.
reach out and tell people, I'm looking for positivity. I'm looking for joy and peace.
Mhm.
And, you
No,
know, they can
definitely.
help you. Somebody can help, you know, like us, call us, we'll help.
Yeah. Yeah. So again, this is a summary of things that both of us were posting this week, and those posts will remain on Instagram. We were posting this stuff on Instagram. So I'm at Hippy Dippy Mom. You're at,
Coaching for tomorrow.
and then we'll link to that, where links go. But then also, so you have a website as well, right, that people can use to reach out to you through?
Yeah, it's coachingfortomorrow.net. On there has a Calendly, which is my appointment scheduler to schedule my complimentary calls. It also has my phone number, my office number to reach me at, so that we can schedule a complimentary call.
Yeah, awesome. So I think that this was really great and just necessary at this time, to give very tangible and easy tips and tools, and also what we're using, because I feel like two people look at coaches like, oh, they already got it all figured out, but
Right.
we sure that we don't.
Definitely not. Definitely not.
Yeah,
And the best thing about coaches is we know coaches, so we can call each other like,
right. That's
coach
true.
me,
Yeah,
coach me. Um, the
that's
best
true.
part about being a coach that I tell everybody to end the call on is I know it works because I've been coached and I'm
Hmm.
still being coached. That's the 100% truth.
Hmm.
100% truth. I would not have believed it if I hadn't been through it.
Hmm.
And it works 110%.
Yeah.
110%. So I am not this way because this is who I am. I am this way because of the journey that I'm on, that I continue to be on every single day because of coaching.
Hmm.
And
Yeah,
I think that everybody needs to know that.
yeah, we've done the work and
Yeah,
continue to do it. Like we said, it's
continue.
never
Hmm.
ending.
Yeah, it's fun too.
Yeah, it is.
Journey is fun.
It
It
is.
really
Yeah.
is. You're like, whoa, like I did that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, totally. So thanks so much for joining me today. I think that, with both of us combined, that's just a good combination of
Yeah.
information, health, and then,
Yep.
the emotional aspect of it as well. So again, let us know, let us know what you think of this by taking a screenshot and sharing and then tagging both of us. And that's